as we're going into March, I believe that we are on the precipice, and it may have already happened, of March economic madness. This may be the month that everybody wakes up, the fraud's over, and so is the game.
Look, this economy, this whole entire freak show is on a knife's edge. And anything can push us one way or the other. What we have here, if you want to just take a quick snapshot looking at the equity markets and the associated risk with that, it continues to rise. It's getting pretty much out of control. Now, historically, for this month, the markets are kind of wild and they're rough. But I think there's a lot of effort right now, at least from my perspective, to try to keep this whole thing afloat a little longer.
So 2023, and here are just some of them. Market meltdown, aging power, dirty cash to digital trash, AI, we own you, climate change, going green, like it or not, the good, the bad, and the ugly about it, office building bust, college crash, anti-war movement, war and hate, anti-immigration, anti-establishment, new political parties, and a homeless solution.
0.5% of Americans, I'm not great at math, but I know that's really a small number, own 40% of the country's assets, and 0.1% reaped 43% of the latest round of tax benefits, according to the OECD. The OECD also reports that the United States is now third among the most unequal industrialized societies after Russia and Mexico. I could keep going on, but I'm not going to. America also ranks number 1 in prescription drug use, according to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. Our debt level is 200% times the gross domestic product. Those are levels worse than during the Depression.
We have central banks in here, and it's such a charade. Oh yeah, we're shrinking our balance sheets. Oh, we're raising rates. It's going to be tremendous and fantastic. Our economy is doing so fine. Meanwhile, the economic data doesn't stop. We're in a free fall, not just here in the United States, but around the world. Global economy is contracting. Real wages falling off of a cliff. Home affordability at an all-time low. 68%. This just came out today. 68% of American families could not survive if they lose one paycheck. I mean, this is the so-called strong economy that we have right now. It's over. It's absolutely over. And with regard to the stock market, it's completely disconnected from any kind of reality. There's no price discovery mechanism whatsoever at all anymore. And it's this artificially suppressed rate environment that we have had since the last meltdown that is doing nothing but keep this artificially propped up.
So America's not number 1, and that's a major trend shaping the world. And so as we look at these trends and we see what's going on, I mention this too, because people, and they say to me, but we look at America as the beacon of democracy. They've done so much, and yes, they have. And as I said, it breaks my heart. They're not a democracy. They're a plutocracy. When I was a kid growing up, you talk about propaganda, and growing up in the Cold War and propaganda, and talking about the Soviet Union, they say, they had an election in the Soviet Union. They have a one-party system. 98% of the people got reelected. Yeah, just like in America. That's the number, folks. 98% get reelected of the incumbents in the general election. It's a plutocracy. You have to be either rich or suck up to special interests to get to the top. And it crosses party lines. Do you know that in one night in 2000, when George Bush was running out against Al Gore, one night George Bush raised $20 million. It's a plutocracy.
We're in an economic crisis I believe is the worst in modern history, with them inflating, artificially pumping up the economy. What are we, over $30 trillion in debt, $31 trillion in debt. Dollar General, Family Dollar, and Dollar Tree are taking over the U.S. with more new stores than any other retailer. Isn't that great? You ever go in these places? Once upon a time, when I was a young guy, you went into stores that were beautiful. That's America. That's America. You go back to the Roaring 20s, the people dressed, the Great Depression, the 40s, the 50s, the 60s, 70s, and it started going down. And now it's a slob show.
And the only thing that's keeping people from seeing, again, we talked about inflation rate, what's the facade that's making it look like everything is okay are the equity markets.
America, back in 1970, some 61% of the people were middle class. Now it's 50%. And middle class isn't middle class because you can't live on it anymore.
No.
And you have the 1% that own 54% of all the stock market, the equities. And you bring the 10% in, they own 90. And all we've become, as I see it, are plantation workers on the global plantation of Slavelandia. You mentioned about the 68%. How about the 64% that are living paycheck to paycheck? Middle class is gone. Housing is unaffordable. And what you said is that it's a freak show on a knife's edge. And to me, that is perfectly what we're talking about. It's a freak show. Look at the freaks that are at the head of the show. Who's your top freak in the bankster system? Jerome Powell, who bullshitted that inflation was temporary and then transitory. And now you said it's global. How about the freak show over there in the EU with the ECB head? What's his name? Christine Lagarde. Oh, yeah, if only women were in charge. Oh, Yellen and Lagarde, they're two women. Oh, bankster bandits. Oh, yeah, forget about that. How about Christine Lagarde? What was her last job? Head of the IMF, the International Mafia Foundation? Oh, excuse me, Monetary Fund. Yeah. Oh, and there's no inflation? Celente, you're full of crap. There's no inflation. I am the Fed head. There is no inflation. You're full of shit. That's the freak show.